to welcome everybody out to our Friday webinar. Today is the ending of April. We got the 28th of April here. Excited for today's webinar. Today's topic is driving employees towards success. We've got, I guess, looks like 4 more webinars coming up, and we'll keep you notified of them. We've had to switch a few things around, but if you want a schedule of everything we have left, then just shoot me a message and I'll be glad to get that out to you. 4 more weeks of it. We're excited for that. So, so today's topic, driving employees toward success. I asked one of our leading providers of human resources here in this town, Jeremy Hicks. He's the manager of BBSI, and since he does a lot of hiring and firing and taking care of people's employees, I thought he'd be a great presenter for this one. I appreciate his preparation in the last minute. I only gave him about a week's notice here, so I apologize for that, but we're excited. This is a fun topic. To me, every business person, whether you're an owner or a manager, can always use some input like this. So with that brief introduction, I will turn the time over to the one and only Jeremy Hicks. And
awesome. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And hopefully what we put together here about driving employees towards success will be an opportunity for you to think about whether you currently have employees or anticipate having employees in the future, how to design and build things within your business to create that passion. So with that, we'll jump right in. So I found this meme. I did not create this, but I thought it was appropriate when we think about being a business owner, about what friends and family think we do, what customers think we do, what employees might think we do, the government, and what I think I do, and then what I really do. So I love the Superman suit driving around because as business owners, I think we've all found ourselves doing the little things and doing some of the hard work. And I want to give you an example of that really quick. I just got back from a ribbon cutting. I'm on the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber Ambassadors, and East Idaho Credit Union is doing their ribbon cutting for their new building over on Woodruff. And as I walked in, a gentleman opened the door. I said hi to him, and I walked in and started looking around and started asking some of the people, hey, who's in charge? Who's going to do this? And I carry around the giant scissors, so I had to be involved in that. And so they turned around and quickly said, "Oh, Dan, you need Dan." And so somebody yelled Dan, and Dan came over to talk to me, and Dan was the guy that just opened the door for me when I walked in the credit union. And I just thought of how appropriate timing for somebody who's developing and has developed, and I saw that through the ribbon cutting, a great culture, a great organization, and that servant leadership that you may have heard of in him being the guy that's greeting people and opening the door without saying anything about, hey, I'm the CEO. But he was there opening the door, which I thought was cool. So passionate employees lead the innovative and strategic development of their companies and set a shining example for other employees to follow. When we think about that, how crucial is that to our business? And what makes passionate employees drivers of success? Some of you may have heard this story before, maybe even from me, but we really want to ask ourselves, do they know your why? And we're gonna dive into that and what that means. So, has anybody ever heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley?
No.
Okay. Has anybody ever heard about Orville and Wilbur Wright?
Yes.
Probably. So Langley, he was the big flight dog of the day. I mean, he was considered the one most likely to crack the code to get man in the air, to fly. The government had given him $50,000. The Smithsonian had given him $20,000. money was really no object. He taught at Harvard. He was a professor at Harvard. He worked with the Smithsonian. And really, he interacted daily with best minds in the country. He had a reporter following him around with the New York Times that wrote stories about him and his trying to get to powered man flight. But Langley just didn't have the passion. He saw dollar signs. He saw that if I could do this, think how famous and rich I would become. We all know that we don't hear of him. We don't know who he is. And clearly there was a couple of other individuals that, that had a little bit more passion around it and won that race. So not only did Langley not win and not be the first person to fly, but he became pretty sore and stupid. He stopped all his research. As soon as the Wright brothers won the race, he gave up. And really, if he was passionate, he could have taken all his resources that he had and built upon the success of the Wright brothers. Instead, he quit. He really didn't have a why. He only had a what, and that was being rich and famous. And that's why you've never heard of him. Langley actually died in 1906, which was just 3 years after the Wright brothers flew an airplane. So when you think about that, it's pretty crazy. So I want to show this video clip.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself?
You can see this
With Wix, you can create your own professional website.
We didn't put it on there, did we?
It's okay. Can you see it?
Great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it, and it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Mm. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple, but we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple or a phone from Apple.
So hopefully, you know, Simon, since that TED Talk a few years ago, was kind of catapulted into consulting and internet fame about his ideas and concepts, and it's pretty cool to see. So think about this. If you hire somebody because they need a job, they'll work for money. But if you hire someone who believes what you believe, the why, which is what Simon just talked to us about, they'll give you their blood, sweat, and tears. That's pretty crucial in having employees and developing that loyalty and that passion and helping them see that. So how do we do that? Within our organization, this is something that we go out and we do with clients often, and we do it internally. So take a minute and just write down on a piece of paper, rank how you would rate these as far as order of importance for your business. So you got product, finance, people, processes, systems, culture, sales, and pipeline. I did this in a group of about 20 the other day, and it was pretty fascinating. It worked out really well. Unfortunately, can't interact a ton on here, but jot down what you think for your business is the most important thing, 1 through 6. So as we've done that, what I want you to think about is why you put what you put. And without knowing everybody's answers, I'm curious out of everybody that's on, how many of you put culture as first? A lot of people, you know, you're starting out your business, they may put finance first because, hey, I need money to start my business. Other people put sales and pipeline first because, hey, if I can't get out and market and sell my product, I don't have a business. Other people say product because, well, if I don't have a product, I don't have anything to sell. In our world and in BBSI culture, we say culture is number one. Culture is number one because culture literally drives everything else. You know, the finance, the money side really should become an outcome of the success of what you're doing. Sales and pipeline can only be driven if you have the proper culture and people. So we put people second to drive that. And so we're going to talk a little bit just about culture in the next couple of minutes here. So SHRM ranked did a survey on biggest investment challenges facing organizations over the next coming 10 years. Number one in that was obtaining human capital and optimizing human capital investments. It's crucial to understand how to do that. So if that's the most important thing for businesses, it seems to me that culture is going to follow right along in how you're going to do that or achieve that. So culture is a shared, learned, symbolic system of values, beliefs, and attitudes that shapes and influences perception and behavior, an abstract mental blueprint or mental code. Honestly, today, and I didn't know Eastern Idaho Credit Union very well, but when I walked into Eastern Idaho Credit Union today, and after about 10 minutes, I could tell they had a really strong culture and a good culture. So I asked the group that I was training in front of the other day whether they thought their company or their business had a culture or a good culture. And I got a few, yeah, we have a good one, and ours is okay. And out of that came to me the concept of every business has a culture, good or bad, or anywhere in between. And so whether you want to believe it or not, your business does have that or is developing that all the time of what that really looks like. So going back to my CEO opening the door for me today, I wanted to just talk about some points, managing versus leading. So management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. That's a culture driver. Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether the ladder is leaning against the right wall. That's a deep one. I had to think about that one for a minute. The manager asks how and when. The leader asks what and why. And lastly, leadership is the act of accomplishing more than the science of management says is possible. So as we think about being effective leaders in how we do that, that really is important to be intentional about how that's driving and affecting your culture. This guy, my buddy right here, not awesome at this. So let's see if we can make this play. Well, Dwight's not going to talk to us today. Sorry. So why are most employees not loyal to their company and leadership? Because their company and leadership aren't loyal to them. People on payroll are not units of production. They are people. They have dreams, goals, hurts, crises. If you trample them or don't bother to engage them relationally, you will forever struggle in your operation. So building unity, how do we even do that? Unity must be intentionally created in your culture. Culture is not something that, I mean, it can happen, but it might not happen the way you want it to happen. It's got to be intentional. You have to focus and think about it and understand what drives that. To create a culture of unity, you have to get your team to buy into a cause bigger than their selfish motives. They have to understand the why. Unity can only be created when a team not only knows that the company cares for them, but also cares for each other. So here's some enemies to unity or driving this effective culture. Poor communication. Number one thing that I see in businesses and in companies that we meet and talk and work with is poor communication, lack of communication, and it affects so many different areas, and we could spend a whole topic on that. Lack of shared purpose. They don't know what the common goal, the mission, the dream is. Gossip. Gossip will destroy all good things you create. And it kind of comes back to communication. Why are people gossiping? What are they talking about? Unresolved disagreements, sanctioned incompetence. Sometimes we're too kind. Sometimes we just let things go, or we let a person, go, and we don't really ask the question, can this person get where we need them to be, or do we need to make a change? So I want to talk really quickly about the golden rule versus the platinum rule. And I don't know if any of you have heard this, but it's something that resonated with me as I work with business owners. And that is, we've all heard of the golden rule, and it's do unto others as you would have them do to you. In other words, treat other people in business and life, the way you yourself would want to be treated. Well, a guy named Dave Pierpont, he wrote a book called The Art of People, and he kind of debunked the golden rule, at least when it comes to business. And he says this, we all grow up learning about the simplicity and power of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would want done to you. It's a splendid concept except for one thing. Everyone is different. And the truth is that in many cases, what you'd want done to you is different from what your partner, employee, customer, investor, even your wife or husband or child would want done to him or her. So Pierpont came up with the platinum rule, and that is do unto others as they would want done to them. So think about that. Do unto others as they would want done to them. The golden rule, as great as it is, has limitations. All people in all situations are different. When you follow the platinum rule, however, you can be sure you're actually doing what the other person wants done and assure yourself a better outcome. And so when you think about that, I think as we just take that to heart and think about, we hire when I look at companies, you look at maybe you hire somebody in the accounting area, maybe you hire somebody in IT, and you hire somebody in sales. Those people have very different emotional intelligence. They have very different personalities a lot of times. They have very different drivers and motivators of what drives them. And you really need to be aware of all of those in order to really inspire and help all of those employees in your team develop that kind of culture. So to kind of wrap up here, I want to talk about inspiration and maybe some of the things that you can do. So vision. There's not much of anything that lifts people more than believing in a dream, a mission, a vision that's bigger than them. My last one I did of these webinars was on multiple generations in the workplace. Our millennial generation that is now overtaking our workplace, this is more important than ever. If they don't feel like there's a vision bigger than them, if there's a mission, if the company is working towards something greater, you're probably going to lose them, and they're probably not going to be very inspired or motivated. So compensation. Few people who feel underpaid and or financially taken advantage of are inspired. It's a joke to remember a birthday, but have taken all financial incentive out of the equation. Don't overpay underperforming people, but be generous to the people who cause you to win. Start where you are, but be aiming higher all the time. There's limitations to that, obviously, but you've really got to look at the return on the investment into your people and your employees. We have a great case study. We worked with one of our clients that's on the staffing side of our business. They hire a lot of production labor workers. When we first started with them, they were paying minimum wage. To be honest, they didn't treat people really well. Supervisors didn't ever get to know the people. Their culture was really broken. And over the past couple of years, we've seen them raise their rates. They've been able to pay more. They're getting more production. They're getting the same people coming back and working that are already trained and understand what to do when they show up, and less turnover. It's greatly impacted the success of their organization, and it's just crucial that we're always looking at these pieces. Storytelling. This is a big one for me. As you're starting your business, or maybe you're further along in your business, you probably have a really cool story to tell, or you're developing that story now. Share that story with your employees. Tell them about how you were sitting by yourself coming up with this idea. Tell them how you got your first sale. Tell them how you made your first dollar. Tell them why you started the business and why you're passionate about it. It's really important that you tell that story. And if you tell that story, they're going to see that vision and your passion, and it will inspire them. Predictability. You got to be consistent and predictable in your business. Explosive, erratic behavior does not inspire. This is a hard one for business owners because they have everything on the line. They can't quit. And it's tough. Everybody's trying to take something from them. And so sometimes that explosive, erratic behavior comes out because they're frustrated. They walk into, their business or their store or whatever, and they see something that's not right. And they've already said this, and they blow up. And we just got to be more consistent in our leadership and how we do that. Passion. We've talked a lot about this, but show people you care if you want them to care. If you don't care, they're not going to care. Be willing to show emotion about issues that matter to the success of the company. I've watched our CEO. BBSI is pushing up against $5 billion. He started about the same time I did into his role. He's been with the company for a long time. But in February, we had a meeting, and he got up, and it was a small group of us, and he emotionally, with choking up a little bit, said to us, "I'm finally running the organization that I've always dreamed about building and running, and it's so exciting what our future looks like." To me, that passion and that love for what he was doing, I'm passionate about it. I love working for the organization and driving the success of it because of how he shows that and the emotion that he's willing to show. And then set the example. The speed, the tone, the work ethic, hold the door open for people, be willing to take out the garbage, and build your teams effectively by showing that leadership. So to conclude, Stephen Covey said, treat your employees like you would want them to treat your best customer. I love that. I think that's a huge, huge opportunity and a philosophy that if all businesses followed, they would all have a better culture and be able to develop that. So with that, that's all I have.
Great. Is there any questions out there? I've got one question, but if you have a question, type it in the chat box if you want, or not a lot of people have microphones, it looks like today. But so Jeremy, I have a question. I used to have a business that at one point was pretty large, and I had about 50 employees, and I found the best way to motivate them was to get them to all buy into the company vision, and they all would jump on, and they'd all participate and jump in and go toward a sales goal because they had helped come up with that. But now it seems like that things have changed with the younger people these days. It seems like to motivate them, you got to buy them breakfast or lunch, and you got to have a casual work environment. What is that a true? I mean, what is it that takes care of the younger kids today to get them to produce in an organization?
Yeah. Well, first of all, don't tell them they're lazy. we have a problem out there where if you go talk to some of these millennials, especially your younger millennials, so you kind of split millennials up because millennials are pushing up against like the 34-year-old range. But if you're looking at kind of your 20 to 27-year-old range, it is very different. They have to have a why behind it. And so, again, being able to kind of drive the inspiration as to why you're selling what you're doing. And again, I go back to the history, telling them your story of your business and how you started. And then, a big one that people are doing more and more of is getting involved in giving back to the community, right? They enjoy being a part of something. So whether that's, having a day where your employees get together and go serve at the soup kitchen, whether it's a charity that you back and you hold a special event for them, those kind of things go a long way for these people, this generation, because they're a little bit jaded. If you think of what they've gone through over the past several years and the political battles going on and things like that, and they just kind of want to do good. They're just kind of ready to help out in the world. And so if your business can provide some opportunities to do that, that helps. I encourage anybody, like, go study that world. There's lots of things and ways that they think. Remember, they don't think like you, and that's the first thing. And then go study how they do think and build things around that. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Very good advice. Great. Doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat box. Looks like that's a good sign that you covered everything. So I hope you take some of these things that he's talked about and make your culture of your company much better. And if you do, you'll have longer lasting employees and a better dedicated force there taking your company to the next level. So great job. If you do need any human resource management, I encourage you to work with BBSI. They are one of the tops, if not the top, in the area. So great job, Jeremy. Next week's I don't have the schedule right in front of me. I think our next week is shaping your business now to be sold later, or the website content. I'm not sure which one's going. We've got a couple of questions up in the air. So anyway, we'll get the notice out next Wednesday or Thursday for what the next topic is. Once again, all of these are on the Idaho Innovation Center website. Encourage you, if there's some topics you might have missed in the past, to go check out them. We are also, as of next week, as of May, we will also have these webinars on the state Idaho SBDC.org website. Actually, they'll be posted on a YouTube channel. So they're gonna have them all next week, as of next week on that. So we'll keep you posted on that one. So thank you, Jeremy Hicks. You're a great example of a leader in this community, and I appreciate your efforts in doing here. This was a great webinar. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next week. Thanks, Jeremy.